Hello and welcome to a special OurGame interview. Just going to let the little bit of rock music play out. Delighted to be joined by former Limerick star Wayne McNamara. Wayne, how are you getting on?
All good, Mike. All good. Thanks for having me. All good. Can't complain. Can't complain.
I know you're usually based over the far side of the world, but you're back in Treaty County at the moment.
I'm back in Treaty County for a short stint. Yeah. So heading back over there soon enough. But yeah, at home for a while there and kind of just rest the bones. So all good. All good.
Very, very good. I presume there's a bit of a it's warmer over here than you remember, I'd say, because of climate change, I'd say. But you're leaving sunnier climates behind to come back to Ireland.
Yeah, 34 degrees over now at the moment, so it's kind of nice. Yeah, there's a bit of a difference there. There's a bit of a delta. Yeah, so it's good. It's fine. It's dry here, so it's grand. Look, it's home, I suppose, as well.
That's the job.
Home, so.
Yeah. There's no place like home. We might get in and chat a bit about GAA in Dubai in a while, but might just look back on your own career, Wayne, if that's all right, just to kick off.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I suppose like one of the first questions that would come to my mind is you obviously retired at the end of 2016. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing what's followed since. Is it hard to believe even what's followed since? And are there any pangs of regret for maybe what you potentially left behind?
No pangs of regret, to be honest. I had my time done, to be honest. I was kind of you knew what was coming through, so like you're always kind of aware of the academy and stuff, like, and you're hearing great things there, and then you see the 21s coming through, and I had 10 years on. I was happy to say, well done, guys, best of luck. So had a chat with John Kye that time, and yeah, it was all good. So no regrets, but maybe he might take it back as a hurling carrier or something, You
wouldn't be a bad man to pass a message on to the field like that.
Yeah. No, they're going okay now at the moment. It's exceptional at the moment, to be fair. It's really they're really enjoyable to watch. Like, I think last year's win was probably the best one, I thought, because I suppose, like, you take the Munster final, even the round robin series was extremely tough. Then you had the Munster final, which was an absolute cracker. Then you had a ding-dong battle against Galway, and then the All-Ireland final against Kilkenny. Like, so it wasn't just a case of like they were blowing things out of the water. They really had to. I think last year they really had to kind of work for every game. Like, it was a good one to watch, and good one. It was very enjoyable, I suppose.
I was actually going to ask you, because when you retired, John Kye had just been kind of named as manager. I was going to ask you, what was that conversation like even? And did you have an idea maybe of, even with his mentality, what potentially could come over time as well?
I did. This was like John was with us in when we won the Munster in 2013. So he's with us 2012 and 13. And great guy, just so straight, knew what he wanted, knew what he was about. Very honest. Like, you always knew where you stood with him. And I think that's kind of playing his course now, like, with the guys. But yeah, like he rang me up, I suppose, and like I said, I wasn't in the initial plans, and that's it. That's what happens. And that's like, and then you kind of. But I kind of had my mind made up anyway. But it's always kind of tough to hear it too, But look, I had 10 years done, and to be fair, what was coming behind was exceptional. So, and then they've proven that. So, and delighted for John as well. Great guy. And delighted for Paul Kirk and all the guys as well. Like, but with John in particular, like in 2013, he was, and 2012, he was excellent, really good. And it was actually when John Allen kind of stepped down in 2013, we were kind of hoping that John would be the guy. But I think he just took over principal in the school at that time. So it's things in the home life have to line up too for you to take those positions, So
it's amazing with timing as well, though, because that might have been too soon for him, and he mightn't be there now. He probably wouldn't be there now, realistically.
Correct, absolutely. Like I said, I'm sure that was if you took it in 14, that's 9 years now. Like, that's a long time. Like, even in his moment, he's there since 17. It's still a very long time. So. But glad he took it eventually, Good guy, happy for him.
Was that a difficult conversation or a difficult call to take from John? Because, I know you probably maybe thought you were maybe going to hang up the boots anyway, but it's maybe more difficult to hear that rather than for you to make the decision straight away yourself, shall we say?
Yeah, like it is. You probably know what's coming. Probably not nice, but you kind of know in yourself. But you, to be honest with yourself too, like, like there's no point lying to stuff and being regretful or kind of being, I knew that my time was up. I was going to make it anyway, but to say you're not in the plans it is tough. It is tough, because then you as a player, like I suppose when you're playing county, I suppose you're probably always one of the prominent guys at your club and stuff like, so you're never probably used to being dropped or how would I say it, you're always probably one of the main guys, you know. So then to go to the other side of that is difficult. But look, it happens to everyone. Like, you know, that's sport and it's life, and you just you kind of roll with the punches, I suppose, in one sense. But yeah, like I had 10 years done, like, and I won a Munster, a few All nominations. So like people, I didn't do too bad, in fairness. Like, you know,
no,
like,
you did okay. There's a lot of
okay,
people that give their right arm for a Munster title.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, I played with a lot of lads before that. You know, like Damien Ray and a few lads like Ollie Moore, and a few lads that didn't win kind of medals that they should have. You know, that they deserve. So it's, you know, I'll take mine. I'm quite happy. Yeah.
Just on that Munster success, I can still remember the picture watching it on TV at home and the pitch covered in green. Like, I presume that's probably an easy highlight throughout your playing career.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We love a good kind of pitch invasion here at Limerick. I think that kind of started it off. It kind of reignited it, I suppose. But yeah, like you see photos from it, and it's pretty cool. Like, you know, you can see the aerial photographs of it, and it's a nice touch. It's nice to see. There's a few photos on the Gaelic grounds actually at the moment up on the wall, and you see kind of Gavin Mahoney being carried shoulder height. So it's cool enough. Yeah, they're nice memories. Nice memories.
Just on that, a flip of that, then I'm sure like Declan Hannon has spoken about it since, about how kind of the nightmare he had in the All-Ireland semi-final, even hitting frees, and that's probably shaped his Limerick career and what's going on at the moment. But I presume that's probably a regret as well, that maybe I don't know if you were undercooked or if it was complacency or you came against a Clare team that were just flying high, but that's probably a regret as well, because there was probably an All-Ireland final appearance there and maybe more.
Yeah, correct. Huge regret. But like, it's huge regret. We like, there's no point saying it otherwise. It was a huge regret. But like, it's, I suppose again, like you have to play to your best every day, and that has to inter-county hurling. If you don't show up and if you're not in the right frame of mind, then good chance you lose, you know. And I wouldn't say we were undercooked or over, because it's hard to know. Like I'd say if we ducks that day, they would have drowned. But like, it's it's, you know. But then that's our own fault too, and kind of on the pitch. That you need to manage all that, you know, and probably our game management that day wasn't up to scratch, you know. And I think we only lost by 4 points. But I think we were probably well beaten, you know, over the course of the 60-70 minutes. Like they were the better side, you know, and they went on to win it as well. And fair play to them, they're a good side and they did good hurlers stuff. But it is a regret. Definitely.
As a county, Wayne, did you have a tendency to run away with yourselves a small bit, maybe? And like, did the Munster final, like, did that all success almost become like not bigger than it should have been, because it's a massive thing, like, but it is like traditionally down through the years, you'd probably say it's a county that maybe they've had, you know, regrets as well from those All-Ireland under-21 wins, that maybe the whole thing kind of blew up, and maybe, you know, players and teams maybe ended up with egg on their face. But was it a case of, like, if you look at how well it's handled now, like, I think the success has been handled phenomenally. Like, would you do you look on with a bit of envy maybe to your own playing days and with how you dealt with some success?
Yeah, like you do, of course. I wouldn't say, I suppose, envy kind of in a positive sense. Like, you know, I'm quite happy for the lads at the moment and stuff. Like, you know, like, it would have been nice to be able to have that opportunity to kind of handle it in that way. But I suppose, like, in Limerick, it's kind of stone mad about sport. Like, and I think it's whatever it is, it's rugby or hurling or soccer or stuff. Like, when a team gets a bit of momentum, it does carry huge kind of weight and kind of momentum and stuff. Like, it's kind of snowball effect. But like I said, like, I suppose, did it affect us? I suppose, looking back, it had to, really. Like, you know, like, it's like wherever you turn, like, you're talking to someone's talking about the match, or you see pictures, or you see it online, or you're reading the papers and stuff like so. And yeah, it's probably seeped in somewhere and stuff, like, unintentionally as well. Like, you know, and like, nobody thought that we were odds-on favourites to win anything, like, you know, or to even win the semi-final. It's just probably seeps in, and unfortunately, like with sport, like, you don't really know until probably the time has passed that you've made the error.
Yeah.
It's like, it is like, everyone has a plan, like, it's like hit in the face, and kind of, it is that is sport. Yeah, like, you think you're ready, and then you're in the middle of the game and you realize, damn, I'm not, you know.
Do you know what's phenomenal about the current crop, Wayne, is that I think that's happened them in a few games. I think that's happened them definitely happened them a tip in that Munster final where they were, well down. And I think one of their greatest strengths is, and you've seen it as a player, and I've played obviously myself to a decent level, like usually when you get that box in the face and you're down and you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting this today, that's it, that day is written off. But these boys, their ability to turn things around when things is going wrong is unbelievable.
It's such a pleasure to watch, and that's why I said about last year, like the amount of times they got hit in the face last year in games was ferocious. But they just seem to, their game management is nearly at perfection now. Like when a team raises their game, they equal it and then go further again. It's like even the Ireland final last year. Like how many times can he come back?
Yeah.
Like and Joe, like Kilkenny obviously have a great tradition and stuff like and then TJ Reid getting a few scores and like he's inspirational, like and the whole crowd is with him. But then they just kind of they stay in the moment and just kind of carry on. Okay, you up the level again. Like it's such a pleasure to watch, and that's why I really feel last year's kind of success of the last four, we'll call it, was definitely the best for me.
Just even to bring back, we were talking about the Munster final in 2013. Was that even a bit not unbelievable, but a bit unprecedented in a way, given the the hoo-ha that you'd had a couple of years before that, and a lot of lads not been involved. I think we played you twice that year. Definitely played you in a qualifier, I think, in a league game.
Yeah.
Like there was all new faces. Like, and obviously one of them was Nicky, who ended up playing outfield and is one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time now. But the way things turned around so quickly was unbelievable. Like if you look at the Cork strikes, and maybe a lot of people would say that is still having a negative effect on Cork hurling, whereas you were kind of able to nip it in the bud quickly enough and move on and get a Munster success that quickly, and even getting All-Ireland 5 years after that, and then 3 more since.
Yeah. I suppose, but back then, like in 2010, I suppose our strike was kind of different, to be honest, because I remember being we kind of encouraged some of the guys that had been given the chance to not just pick our side, if you know what I mean. There's some lads were given it was their first year in, and we were like, Joe, be honest with yourself. If you want to stay, stay. Because we hadn't had success. Whereas so we couldn't really dictate too much, but we just obviously it was nearly rock bottom. Like we had to have a change. There had to be improvements, and from players as well. Like players had to take ownership at that time as well. But like there was. In terms of between players, there was no real animosity, to be honest. So, like as a turnaround, it wasn't that difficult, to be honest.
Okay.
It wasn't, because I know I suppose obviously the Cork one is the obvious one you speak about. Like there was a lot of it wasn't them, the players against the board or the supporters, everybody, but it wasn't like that for us, because there was kind of respect to all the players,
Would there have been much bad blood? I remember chatting, I think it was Tom Condon was chatting maybe last year, and he just said he remembered like some supporters at the time saying, oh, we'll never support the Limerick hurlers again. Like, was there much of that going around even at the time?
A small bit, but look, it is like when you have, it's like just taking a big group. You have supporters. Even now, you'd have a bit of negativity towards Limerick hurlers.
Oh,
yeah. That's just the nature of the beast, and that's just kind of personalities and stuff. Like there was a small bit of it, but it wouldn't be too much, to be honest. And I suppose Tom would be popular, and he kind of he'd be very identifiable like myself, I suppose, But a small bit of it, but nothing really to try and throw you off or deter you from wanting to go back.
You had some great characters in your team, and you mentioned Tom yourself. Like Richie McCarthy's a bit of a folk hero as well, almost as well. Like,
yeah, we did. Yeah, probably had too many of them. We might have won. We might have won something more, a few more things. But yeah, that's important as well. Like to have those guys, like showing you that you have good memories and stuff as well, and a bit of crack,
Just on your 10 years with Limerick, like I presume it was something that was hugely enjoyable as well. Like, and it was maybe in a more innocent time of inter-county hurling as well, where you weren't probably training 6 nights a week. You looked after your diet and stuff like that, but it wasn't maybe as regimental as it is now. I even look back at my few years with Offaly, and it was an enjoyable time. There was a lot of changes going on. We were probably guinea pigs for various strength and conditioning fads that were going on at the time, but it was a hugely enjoyable period.
It was like like I said before, like if I had my time back, I'd do it all over again. Might do a few things differently, but again, like you, I suppose when you're living in that moment or playing in that moment, you think you're doing the best at that time, the information you're supplied and stuff like so. But I was kind of like I came in 2006, and I suppose S&C was kind of just becoming into the kind of the society, then like into training and stuff like. So it was funny. Like I remember my first strength test. It was in Briefy House with Limerick, and in 2007, because I came in mid-season 2006, and I was a 60 kg on the bar strength test, and I couldn't lift it.
Go away, okay.
Couldn't lift it, yeah. So like, and that's a 21. So like, you take the 21-year-olds coming to Limerick now, like you take Adam English. Like look at it. Like I saw his physique there, obviously on TV with Limerick. I saw him playing for UL in the quarterfinal against UCD, and just these guys are just animals, you know. And athletic, like not just bulked up guys. Like these guys are just extremely athletic. Like, you know, so like in the 10 years, it's incredible. Like, you know, or 15 years, like it's incredible difference. Like, you know, which is good.
What was that? A bench press test?
Yeah, bench press test. Yeah. My secret's out.
I presume when you see the picture of Sean Finn and Mike Casey and the boys after the Munster final, you're like, Jesus, things have changed a bit.
Things have changed a small bit. Yeah. Thank God. It's like, yeah.
It's phenomenal. Like, it's phenomenal the shape lads are in. There's Sean O'Donoghue who plays cornerback with Cork as well. Like, they're just, you have to be so well built. You have to be able to mind yourself so well now, don't you?
You do, and it's over a long period of time as well. It used to be very consistent and stuff, like, you know. So it's not just go into the gym kind of November and come back out in March there and they're kind of bulked up. Like, it's not. It's totally different. It's over a long period of time and stuff, like. And yeah, you see these guys, like, and they're in fantastic shape. Like, you know, they're Jesus. Like, it's incredible shape there.
When I say like that, around your time was an enjoyable time, and it was. Is there any envy of, like, would you love to be involved in the way it is now? Like, would you love to be exposed to Paul Kinnerk's training? Would you love to be exposed to John's management and how things have moved on? We were kind of shooting in the dark maybe back in our time, and we thought we were doing X and Y, and we thought it was great, and chances are we were probably doing static stretching before matches that was actually doing more harm than good. But would you love to be involved now with the way it is gone?
Yeah, of course. I love it. Like it's so professional now as well, like, you know. But like, yeah, no, like it is, like, when you're a player, I suppose you're interested in all that, and especially when you're into county level, like, you're willing to do all the I suppose the extracurricular work instead of outside of training and stuff, like, you know. So I'd absolutely love to be exposed to that right now. And like, I never talked to Decky too much about, or a few lads, I've rarely talked to him about hurling and stuff. I don't want to ask him anything, to be honest, because nothing's out of the camp. I don't want to put that in situation and stuff, like. But you'd absolutely love to be exposed to, like, Caroline Curd and Paul and John, and like a fly in the wall. But we just kind of, I think the attitude here tomorrow with me is, let's just leave them alone and don't ask them anything, because what they're doing is fine. Don't rock the boat.
There's almost a code there amongst inter-county players, particularly of your own county, like, because you know what it was like when you were there and you had lads asking questions and maybe putting you in awkward spots, not meaning to or anything like that. It's all totally harmless. It's just, like, you kind of know now that I'm not going to ask Declan Hannon how training is going and are you flying it or whatever. You just chat to him about his job or chat to him about whatever. Exactly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like when you're playing, like, you know it well. Like, the first question you ask is, "How's training going?" And like you don't want to say. You used to give a generic answer, and they mean very well. They absolutely mean the best in the world, and that's not how they get anyone. They mean the best in the world. So like now, like, so when you have that experience, I'd never ask the guys that, to be honest, ever, because it's just, I don't want to be that person that annoyed me kind of when I was playing, like. So
yeah. There were plenty of them, I'm sure. I was actually chatting Drew Wiley that retired from Monaghan at the end of last year, and his brother is still involved, and he says he just doesn't ask him anything about it. It's just easier not to. You know what I mean? And it's actually funny because Mike Casey last year, his parents didn't even know until he was out on the pitch starting against Cork that he was starting, and that's the way it is kind of now. You just kind of keep these things to yourself or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's great. Like, it's excellent. It's excellent. Like, and like, you never hear any stories coming out of training and stuff. Like, I know my time, it would have been a real kind of bugbear of mine, is that if something happened in training, by the time I get home, my father or mother would have had it. You know, which is, it's a bad kind of ethos to have and kind of mentality. Sometimes it just gets out of training. But these guys know it's under lock and key, and that's great. You know,
yeah, I would have been the same. I would have been exposed to things like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like where it is, and it is probably a lack of trust within the camp because you're all doing it for the same reasons. And if there's like loose lips. They say loose lips sink ships
Sink
or whatever.
ships, yeah.
You don't like it. It's not a help anyway. I'll tell you, it's definitely a hindrance. It's of no way a help to you anyway.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. And then you know yourself. Let's say Ireland's a small country. Kind of stories when it's passed on to different people. It kind of it grows legs.
Yeah, yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. You mentioned about like knowing that the young lads were coming. Was there any moments in training like it wasn't even under John Kiley's regime? I think TJ was manager for your last year. But did you see like something in Dermot Burns? You've obviously seen plenty in Declan, I'm sure, at club and county level. But could you see that these boys were a bit different coming in?
You could, and I definitely like. And the biggest thing was two obviously the biggest things that like in terms of hurling comparability, you wouldn't see that obviously they're very good hurlers, but it's hard to tell then. But what the difference was like is one the mentality they had when they came in, that they grew up winning tournaments. You know, like I remember going to a 17s tournament and we lost to Westmeath and Carroll or Laois or something, like, you know, and we collect a guy on the way up to get numbers. You know, so like we kind of so at that stage obviously it wasn't good enough, but then these guys come from the academy and they have fantastic kind of mentality of winning, like, you know, and it does, like, that breeds the confidence. And then obviously they have had the S&C from underage, the proper structures in place where they're doing all the necessary exercise and the strength programs, and so they come in then at a level where the conditioning is exceptional. You know, they would be the two main differences you'd see, like, so it'd be mentality and kind of physical appearance stuff, like, you know.
Would there have been any example of, you know, a mentality difference maybe between the old guard and the new guard that you would have seen, like even young lads putting their head above the parapet maybe that they wouldn't normally do, or anything that would have happened in training or anything like that?
Not really. Like, it was not like it was my last year, I suppose. But like, and the day all kind of came in, but not really. I suppose like you would see that they were probably a bit more confident, you know. But that's probably kind of young when you're young and eager as well. You know, it's probably that could be applied to a lot of things. So there was no real kind of scenarios where you see, oh my God, these guys are different and stuff like that. I just, because look, intercounty hurling takes time to settle in as well, you know, and like really you don't know, like, guys win 16s, 18s, 21s, but you really don't know if they're gonna make a senior until probably 2-3 years in, because it's a different animal altogether. Like, you know, you really are kind of in the public eye at senior level, whereas there's a bit of animosity kind of in your underage, kind of 21 is minor and 16, so it is a different animal at senior level. You know? Yeah,
you're definitely not thrust into the public limelight as quick.
No,
With minor and under 21, it's there, all right, but you're still
Yeah.
away from the big show is over here, kind of, if you get me, in
Correct.
senior. Yeah, stepped away at the end of 2016, and I know you knew there was a lot of good talent coming, but did the quickness of it to win an All-Ireland that quickly even surprise you? I know you knew the talent was there, but to win an All-Ireland at senior level is a different story, and it was so rapid, really, the success in Limerick.
The surprise, yeah, I suppose it had to be an element of surprise, because I suppose it was so long since you won one. I suppose in reality, since whatever 73, like, so it's nearly 45 years. Like, so that kind of added to the element of surprise. But did I think at 16 that we in 2 years later to be winning Ireland? Probably didn't. You know, did I think these guys could? Absolutely, but 2 years it's like 2 years into a kind of a new team essentially is exceptional work from the guys. You know.
Yeah. Would it be fair to say that you had an eventful month coming up to that All-Ireland final?
I had a very eventful month, yeah. We got married on the 3rd, then obviously with Limerick won on I think it was the 15th, and I moved away to Abu Dhabi on the 18th, yeah. So we had a fairly hectic 2 or 3 weeks there. Yeah.
My Jesus, if a load of former teammates could give you any one present, giving you an All-Ireland win for your county is not a bad one.
That's it, yeah. We had 2 or 3 good days in there before I left off. I was calling like going away a party.
Sure, right on your doorstep and all, sure.
That's it, yeah, down the road, yeah, down the street, yeah. It was good few days now. Yeah. Great memories. Jeez, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
What was that like in Croke Park that day, even, like, as a guy who's not long out of the intercounty bubble, to see what was going on? Like, I don't know, I was there covering as a reporter, and I was at the back of the press area, and there was an old fella behind me, like, bawling his eyes out, and the nature of the finish, because I was only a young fella in '94, no more than you were, but like, you were up and it looked like your hands were on the trophy, and then all of a sudden your hands are off the trophy and lads are watching it through their hands and wondering whether history is going to repeat itself. The nature of it all was unbelievable.
Oh, it was exceptional, like exceptional. Yeah, it was. I suppose it was a bit emotional, like when you're there, like because you've kind of played for so long as well, and then these guys have just excelled and just yeah, it was an incredible moment, I suppose, And after the match, then I was walking. We were walking back to out of the stadium basically, and I met Frankie Carroll. And I got a nice picture of Frankie, like obviously Frankie in '94 or stuff. One of those were great as well. Like so, yeah, it was nice to meet those guys. Like, yeah, it was exceptional, kind of to see it. It really kind of it was emotional, yeah. So but I didn't cry now. There was no tears in me now, but a few people around me.
I'd say you were fresh flying out to Abu Dhabi on the Wednesday.
I wouldn't call it fresh now, but I packed the bags on Friday night, knowing I was flying on the Wednesday. It was the first time I ever packed the bags, kind of. That far out. I wouldn't be usually good now for packing the bag kind of before I fly too much, but on the Friday night I was ready.
Yeah. Like I presume you were in the middle of all the celebrations as well and just enjoying it as much as any Limerick man or woman would have been.
Oh, absolutely. Like obviously with Declan being captain from Adair, on the Tuesday night we had the homecoming Adair. It was
lovely.
Remarkable. Yeah, remarkable. And then obviously the celebrations followed down the street, and it was exceptional. Really good. Yeah.
What's that like to see one of your own? Like Declan is already in the history books as like he's lifted Lee McCarthy as captain more than any person, more than Christy Ring, more than anybody else. Like it's an unbelievable thing really to think of a lad that would have been growing up just a couple of years younger than you, and I'm sure he would have been following you kind of growing up. It's amazing to think what he's gone on to do.
Oh, it's exceptional. Yeah. I suppose like you're kind of in a bit of a dreamland as well, like but hopefully he's not finished either. But like I suppose it's in times down the road in 10 years' time, when maybe or 15 years' time when the boots are hung up and you realise, my God, he's the most successful person ever to captain a team like ever in GAA. Like it's remarkable. Like we won't appreciate it now while you're playing. Obviously you appreciate it, but you won't understand the enormity of it until probably 10 years' time we look back and wow,
such a steady hand, isn't he? Like such a steady influence on a squad.
Yeah, great guy. Perfect pick for a captain, to be honest. Like he's a leader on the pitch, I suppose. And like he's just a very approachable guy. Good lads around him, and like he wouldn't be in or out with anyone and stuff. Like I wouldn't be out with anyone and stuff like. But yeah, just a good role model for kids as well. Like as often a very very cool head, and then obviously he's an exceptional hurler, obviously, and he's turned himself into a fantastic athlete as well. And like he's had tough days as well, but like my God, has he turned it around?
Did you think it was a statement when John came in? One of the first things he did was name him number 6. I remember him seeing him play against Kieran's for our school Reach in a Crow Cup final, and he was very good. I think Shane Dowling was on the same team. He was up front. But did you think that was a bit of a statement? Like he was wing forward, he was full forward, he was midfield, he was kind of, I don't know, maybe a bit like Austin Gleeson with Waterford. He was everywhere, but not really one position nailed down. He's centre back, and since he's gone centre back, just like basically the sort of fella that you've built a team around, and he is the rock of that team. Yeah.
So that's what my philosophy of hurling is like you have to get 3 and 6 right, and it has to be kind of consistency and I suppose a leader or kind of in there or stuff like Yeah, it was a bit of a statement, I suppose, and obviously a correct statement is proven now, but at the time I thought it was the correct move. Fantastic hurler, great, good communicator, good athlete, and it's an important role to fill because it actually is kind of nearly the nucleus at the moment. It's probably one of the most important positions in the field because you can support your full back line, your half back line, your midfield. Like, and if you're dominating those areas, well, then you're giving yourself a platform to win. But like I do think it's probably the most important position, and I think it was a statement and a correct statement, But thankfully it's worked out.
You would have played there a bit throughout your own career, obviously, as well. It's probably changed a bit since then, to be fair to say. And it's like you need a really intelligent player to play, like probably your smartest player, I'd say, needs to play there now because you need to sit, but not sit too much to give your centre forward space. And he just finds that balance. And like I don't know if he's ever. I can't remember him giving away a bad stick pass or a bad hand. Like he's so good and so efficient on the ball.
His technique and his stick work is basically flawless. It's couldn't even talk about it. It's so good, to be honest. He never misses a pass, and like never misses a pick, never misses a touch. But yeah, like when you're playing six, he's like you do kind of have to give and take a bit. So like to kind of know when to step off, and kind of sit back, and know when to kind of go forward, and kind of when to kind of concede the point. We take that point, concede it, and then for the greater good, that he protected the goal and stuff like. So it's a very kind of like it's a thinking man's position and stuff like, and he's lording it at the moment, thankfully,
Just even the point that put Limerick ahead in the Munster final last year was totally glossed over by Kelly's sideline, but like it was unbelievable on a wet day, like in a standing position to do what he did, and I suppose his capability, that's nearly the icing on the cake, isn't it? The fact that he can just kind of stroll forward, or he can just score from distance like that.
Yeah, that's it. Like to be honest, he'd no right to shoot from there. Like
Yeah.
But again, confidence, and like that's the way the game was going. But like he's obviously a huge belief in his own ability, so he should. But exceptional score. But again, like he'd no right to shoot from there. But again, just absolute belief in himself, and it was exceptional. Probably 90 yards in a wet day, Munster final in going into injury time. Just incredible.
Yeah. Would you have seen, glimpses of that at club level? Would you have seen glimpses of what he could go on to do? Well, obviously, he was a couple of years behind you, but would you have been like, this lad is going to be the bee's knees when he matures a bit?
Yeah. Like at underage, like he was obviously a prodigy, But like again, like I'm sure, like every player, I'm sure you've experienced like young lads who've been prodigies, but hasn't materialized at adult level, But like obviously, but then he played first year in senior. We won the senior in 2009. It was the third one in a row, but it was his first year because of his age. And we played a Munster quarter final at below against Newtown Shandron, like, and we lost by a point. I think it was 117 to 116, but he got 115 of our scores. And he was 16 at that stage, like, and you just say, okay, this guy is the real deal, like, it's yeah.
That's outrageous, Jesus! Yeah, it reminds me of I think Noel McGrath Canning played a club final against Newtown. Actually, I think he got man of the match at 15 or 16. I think Noel McGrath played an All Ireland club semi final at 15 against Portumna for Lockmore and was brilliant as well. But they're in good company anyway, because they're all pretty special talents anyway.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah. But I think it's like that, like those guys, like when they're prodigies, like you're still not sure if they're gonna make it at senior level, but he definitely has.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Where do you think Limerick can go for now? As you say, like the chase and pack probably closed in a bit last year. I'm not sure if that was the chase and pack closing in, or the fact that maybe Keane was out and maybe serious questions were asked of the squad. They passed those kind of questions with flying colours, having been probably pushed to the pin of their collar in every game. Like, realistically, they're overwhelming favourites for 4 in a row now. It's a mad position to be in almost, isn't it?
It is a mad position. Like I wouldn't say overwhelming favourites. I think they are the best team, but the best team doesn't win every year. As in like at the start of the year. If they perform to the best of their ability, it's hard to see them beaten. But like and said that, like last year again, it was 2 points, two points in the Ireland final.
2
2 points again in the semi-final. Like Clare, like with the extra time, even in the draw in the round robin series, that the chase and pack are pretty close, and like if Limerick if they don't perform or their heads aren't in the right space, like you will get caught, like regardless of how far ahead or whatever is, in your terms of your quality.
What's it like looking at them from afar? You're obviously home at the moment, and I'm sure you'll probably try and get a game while you're home. But what's it like looking from afar? You always hear about, when people go to live in Dubai or Australia or Abu Dhabi or wherever it is, there's almost even more of a sense of place when you go away, more pride in home. I imagine you're beaming watching those games.
Oh, sure, you'll be beaming like of course, like and that's on a Sunday heading down to the bar to watch the games and stuff. Like it's and obviously like you have your buddy who's from the same village is a captain and stuff. Like it's very it's cool enough. Let's say, I mean, when you are away, you do get a sense of like home and stuff, that you miss home and stuff. And then this kind of the GAA kind of ties you into that, like keeps the home relevant and stuff, and keeps you attached to home. Like, and then when your county's doing well, it's just amazing.
So when we mentioned there about you're obviously living over in Abu Dhabi now, what's like, by all accounts, from all reports we're hearing over here, and obviously Dermot Burns is out that part of the country, and the likes of Jack Savage and Peter Atchison, Eric Lowndes, these sort of lads kicking football over there. GA seems to have exploded over there by all accounts.
It has, yeah. I suppose like it's probably reflective of society here at the moment with people moving away, but it has and I'm there in Abu Dhabi since 2018, as mentioned earlier on, and I suppose when you move away, you think like that. I suppose it's a small organisation that it kind of, you'd have a few tournaments, stuff like a small crowd there, but it's not. It's the exact opposite. Like I was pleasantly surprised, and like since 2018, it's just increased every year. Like at the moment, like you've approximately 2,000 members within the Gulf region. So you've 6 countries in the Gulf region. So like you've Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, and Saudi. They'd all have 1 team each, and then there's 10 teams in UAE. Because obviously UAE the more, I suppose at the moment, it's more attractive place to move to. But it's huge. It really is huge. Like the championship at the moment, in the midst of organising that, and my sins, I'm chairman of Nafina.
Brave man.
Yeah. There's another word for it too, like, yeah. So it's good. I enjoy it, to be honest. It's a good club, and like they were good to me when I moved over first. But like we've approximately over 450 members, which is huge. It's a huge number. Like
that's a big club. Like that's a big club in Ireland.
That's a big club in Ireland.
Else, yeah.
It is, yeah, it is, and like there's about another kind of 90 kids in the juvenile section, which is growing the whole time, like, and stuff. Like it's good, and to be fair to the Middle East board, like they're very supportive, and like the overall Middle East, the way the GA is run, like is actually it's very good, really is good. Like it's supported by Crow Park and the Department of Foreign Affairs. There's grants there available and stuff like for clubs and stuff every year, and I was told to mention the up the grant as well, by the way. But
I was actually chatting to Niall Erskine, who was in for president last week, and I think he's head of World Games, and he was just saying, you mentioned about the Department of Foreign Affairs. He said if we need to get any message out anywhere in the world, they go straight to the GA club. It's mad, isn't it? If you want anything done, that's the focal point.
That's it. That's where everyone kind of bases themselves. That's their kind of starting point. Like it is, and like I suppose with the chairmanship this year, like you do get requests outside of GA to support people and stuff, like away from home. Like, and the GA is your first port of call. It's absolutely 100% always your first port of call for if you want to get a word out for anything. Yeah, and Niall's a good guy. I actually met Niall last year at the Middle East AGM. He's a good guy. Yeah, so.
By all accounts, the standard is like, it's one thing having lots of teams out there, but by all accounts, I know definitely the football anyway, the standard is very high. And I saw Dermot Burns playing in a tournament recently. There was clips going around of him playing for Dubai Celts as well. Like, so that would tell you when the reigning hurler of the year is involved, it tells you the hurling standard is quite high as well.
Yeah, that's why he walked away there from playing this year when I heard he was playing. But no, the standard is high, and like I suppose from my own experience with the hurling and stuff, like I would go over not knowing what the standard is going to be like, and I found it to be pretty good. Like I suppose like there's your standard over at the moment. Like you've senior, intermediate, and junior, okay, in all levels. Like your senior hurling standard, you're talking very, very good senior club hurlers at home. Like very good club senior hurler. That's your senior standard out there. Like, so that's no joke. Obviously the intercounty senior is another step. It is here as well. Like but and then you have to go to the senior football. It's exceptional. Really, and like you have like the ladies football is the standard is exceptional. Really is high. Like the current Abu Dhabi team and Sharjah, actually the last round this weekend. But like, there's a lot of ex-intercounty players or county players who just had moved away and stuff. Like same with the men's football. The standard is extremely high. Like you have Jack Savage and Crowley from Kieran Rahali's. You have Eric Lowndes. You've Ronan Daly has just come over to ourselves over the last 2 weeks. And it really is good. Like Cillian Kilbride is there at the moment and stuff. Like the standard is really, really good. Like, and I suppose like when you're home and you haven't seen it, you think it's it's kind of like turn up for a training session every now and again.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a nice lifestyle over there as well. But like we train. Nafina will train twice a week for every team, and then you have your set tournaments. So that the fixture list will be sent out in September, finals in September, and like there's 4 rounds of the league and then one championship. But like for each of those, so like depending on the club hosting the tournament, like you could have a full round. So in 2 weeks' time we'd host the championship. On the Friday night we'll have the hurling. We'll go ahead. So there's 27 teams in that. Okay, so there's you'd have approximately 400 players playing the Friday night. Okay, over a course of probably 50 matches. And then on the second day, the football, which is an enormous undertaking, you'd have close on 1,200 players.
Wow. Okay.
Playing in one day, like so from 8 a.m. right up to 6 o'clock in the evening, like it's going ahead, like so it's a big machine, like and in fairness to the Middle East board, like all club communities work hard over there and stuff. Like every club, in fairness, it works hard, but in fairness to the Middle East board, they do get a lot right out there and stuff. Like I know it's Garrod, who's the chairman this year, I've been heartbroken a few times. Like, they do, in fairness, they get a lot right. They get a lot right because like there's a lot of moving parts out here. Like you you have 5 different countries. You've probably you have your senior, intermediate, junior, and then junior 2. So there's 4 different levels in that. And then you have, let's say, if the traveling stuff is on the UAE and there's traveling teams, let's say 12 months ago they changed. Our weekends were Friday, Saturday in UAE, like the rest of the Gulf, but now it's gone to Saturday, Sunday. But the rest of the Gulf countries remained Friday, Saturday. So like when we're having tournaments, there's logistical reasons or issues with the days of the week. And then there's costs, and then there's pitches, getting pitches and stuff like so. There's lot of moving parts, but it is very enjoyable and it's done very well, to be fair at this.
It's a forwards game by all accounts. What is it, 9-a-side?
Yeah, that's why I stopped this year.
Not simple. Hey, I hope there's no black card over there either.
Yeah. No, I couldn't catch it again, to be honest. But, it is like it's a 9-a-side. Okay, so it's a 9-a-side game. 7 minutes a half, and I suppose you think it's that's nothing. Like it's fairly full on. Like it's a kind of a possession based game.
Non-stop, I'd imagine, isn't it? Non-stop.
Absolutely non-stop. Yeah. So it's rolling on, rolling off. Like, and it's kind of hot and heavy there at the senior level. To be fair, like it's really enjoyable. Like it's really competitive. The skill is good. Like, and you get the referees over from Ireland as well. Like, so the refereeing is done correctly. Like and the tournaments are organised correctly.
Well, some of it's not done correctly over here. That's another story.
That's a whole different podcast now, like.
Yeah. Just on that, actually, I'm just going to read out a tweet that you had there a while back. Feigning injury and trying to get players booked is creeping into the GAA more and more. And that's something, you have something similar written in a vein in another tweet, but there's names involved, so I won't read them out. It is something that's creeping in. It's not something I don't know if it's more because we're backs or whatever that we're the ones usually dishing out the treatment or whatever, but it's not something you like seeing creeping in, that bit of simulation and things.
No, it's not. It's something really kind of irks me, to be honest. No, it always has been. You can see from my Twitter, there's 2 or 3 instances where I've kind of pinpointed it. It irks me, to be honest. Like I don't like it. Like getting a free, go down to kind of win a free, being a cute free. I feel there's might contradict myself, and maybe I am, but like there's a difference between that and actually going down where you got a touch and trying to get a yellow card or a red card. Or there's a huge difference. Like there's
a big difference. Like one is cuteness and one is cheating, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like hurling is a fantastic game. It's in a fantastic condition at the moment. But and there's been a few instances over the last few years, and it's not nailing or digging at anyone. It is in the game, and we need to stamp it out. That's why I'm always kind of the favour you call those guys out who do it. It's not healthy for our game. It was never there. It's not something we grew up with, and it's just the way the game is going at the moment is an upward trajectory in a very healthy state. But that is a real kind of stain, I think, at the moment. That's I wouldn't say it happens every week, but it happens enough to know that we should be dealing with it.
Yeah, I think it's a different story when someone's on a yellow card and, you're trying to get them to foul you or something like that. What I mean? That's a completely different thing. But concocting something, or even we would have seen it a couple of years ago when David Clifford was on a yellow and he was just pulled to the ground and rolled around and all of a sudden he's off. Now, that's probably a different thing, but it's in a similar vein. I just think I'd be the same as yourself. I think the games should be played in a sporting sense, and I don't think it should be in your head trying to get somebody sent off or anything like that.
Correct. Absolutely, 100%. Like it shouldn't be in their head. Like, it's not something that. It's not nice. You saw a few instances last year. Like it's just it overtakes the papers then as well. Like, you know, it overtakes the media, and then that person who did it can get criticised as well. Like which isn't, I suppose, isn't nice either. But he's made his own bed as well. So like he's lying it, you know. So it's kind of a case of that, yeah.
You said about calling it out. Would you potentially give a yellow card for somebody who's play acting in that way as well, like, and trying that in that way? I know you're a Man United supporter, so you've seen a bit of simulation, I'm sure, in your time. But like, would you call it out in that instance if a linesman is saying no, X, Y, or Z went down there, not in it at all? He's trying to buy a yellow card, or trying to buy a red, like a yellow for someone who goes down or feigns injury or something like that.
100%, no question. Like referees have a tough enough job as well. Like referees you can't expect a referee to see everything. Like it's impossible. Like his linesmen and his umpires need to support there. But like if you have a guy who's trying to make his job even more difficult again, and then also trying to get a guy sent off or whatever, it's just no. There definitely should be a card. I'd be big in favor of retribution on that person if he's trying to feign injury. Absolutely, he should be called out and be by a yellow card or retrospective action, whatever it be, you know.
I'll read out one more tweet. Hey, at Aer Lingus, any chance you can support on getting my bag back? That's in CDG. I presume that's Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah.
Your team has been worse than useless in helping me retrieve it. It's Aer Lingus' fault that it didn't make my collective flight. Did you ever get your bag back?
I did. I got it back. I was home for 7 days, and I got it back on day 6. Morning, actually, I got it back in the morning of day 7, and a guy landed at the house with the bag and didn't even have to unpack it. I was heading to the airport again in a few hours.
At least you had clean clothes heading back again. Yeah. Just fire a couple of quick fire ones at you, and then we might just do a quick little preview of the game at the weekend. Yeah. Who'd be the best player that you played with?
Best player that I played with. Who were the best player? I suppose I'm looking up. I suppose was probably, I would say probably Mark Foley or Declan Hannon, 2 club mates. I think like Mark was obviously, because at that age when I was coming on, Mark was obviously you're one of your peers. So like, you know, obviously he's a club legend and stuff like, so he was very influential. So I'd have to say like he's probably the best player I played with. Yeah.
Okay, and who'd be the best player you played against? And I'm sure you've marked plenty of good ones.
Cian Lynch, yeah, without question. I've said it years ago. He was just on a different level to everything else, and that was like in 2016 when I was my last year. I was coming towards the end, obviously, and he came in. And I was like, wow, this guy is on another level altogether.
In what way? Like the level of trickery, or just not been able to have to be literally stuck to him the whole time? Just
everything. Like, you know, usually like you can be stronger than the guy, or faster than the guy, or a bit cute, or better in the air or something, or on the ground. He just had everything, like, you know, and you look at him like, he just had everything. Like, I met him trained that year, and I was like, wow, this guy is absolutely incredible, and great, lovely guy as well. And just like, even went to the game last week against Clare, and he was worth the interest alone with all his trickery and his hard work and his vision as well. Like, you know, like if you got a GoPro and put on his helmet, like, and have his vision, it'd be sensational. Like, you know, his vision is absolutely incredible, and the speed of his hands, and again his work rate. Like, his work rate is exceptional. Like, you know, and like, it's great. Yeah, he has all the tricks and the flicks, and he's a box office, like, but he works extremely hard. You know,
he's like a new player. He'd be like a new player coming into the squad this year, won't he? Realistically,
yeah, you'd be hoping, like, because look, to succeed, I suppose you need to have kind of fresh blood. And he could be that fresh blood, I suppose, into the team as well, you know, because obviously he was missing so much last year.
Last one, and then we just chat briefly about the game. What's your funniest GAA memory? I'm sure you've had plenty of good stories back down through the years. Some that can be told.
Some I can't tell you the best ones, I'm afraid, Mike. I cannot tell you the best ones. Oh God, my funniest. Oh God, I can't, my God.
You could sterilize it a small bit if you want, or take out a name maybe.
Oh God Almighty! No, the best one. I'll tell you the best one off here. The best one is 2010. But what? I'm trying the best one.
Any good stories even out after matches or anything like that, or any initiation processes that you got young lads to go through or anything like that?
We were away for a weekend up in Antrim, and we were. It was So we were away for a weekend up in Antrim. We were about 5-6 weeks before championship. This is back in 2009, I think, and went away for a weekend up there. We were playing a game up Friday. We did a bit of training on the Friday, and we were supposed to play a tournament on the Saturday. So we were. So it was 4 weeks, 5 weeks before championship. Like, you know, obviously there's going to be a booze ban in place. So on the Friday night, and we did a bit of training that evening and stuff, and obviously in for dinner, and no bother, that's fine. And then obviously dinner finished, and lads were kind of standing around. Of course, lads kind of said, "Right, come on," into a taxi. But one of the players who was just starting out at the time, so once. His name starts with R, and he's played full back, but I won't give you his name. He was sleeping on the ground floor of the hotel, and we got the taxi back and stuff. We had a few points, and got the taxi back home, and he thought he was climbing into his window, but he wasn't. He was climbing into the selector's window on the ground floor.
I'd say he got a rude awakening in the bed.
Yeah, I don't think too many know about that one now, but yeah, it's a funny one.
It's out now. It's out now anyway.
Yeah, he won't forgive you for that one.
No, he'd be all right. You just we'll try not to air it while you're still in Ireland. We'll wait till you're not back.
Yeah, he thought he'd have a correct window kind of sorted out for coming back after the pub, but no, he didn't. He had the wrong window.
I didn't want to have to walk back through the main fire or the main exit.
She couldn't because we'd be caught in cameras inside in the security or side in the reception. You know?
He was cuter on the pitch than off it by all accounts.
Correct.
Wayne, just looking at the game at the weekend, would it be fair to say like it's obviously it's only league, maybe league's probably not as important maybe as when you were there. I know you won I think you won a Division 1B when you were when you were with Limerick. Not as important now, but Galway seems to be the one team that can lay it down to Limerick on a given day. If you look at the 2020 semi-final, obviously that 2018 final was unbelievably tight. Look at last year's semi-final again. Do you expect to see much or learn much of the game over the weekend?
I do. I think that the league is probably slightly diminished in the last 2 or 3 years in the value of it. But still in all, like, I'd imagine that teams have targeted certain games and to do kind of an easier week or a hard week and stuff, like, you know. I'd imagine that God would have targeted Limerick as a game to kind of understand where they're at, you know. They're going well again this year. They're physical side, good hurlers, so many good hurlers up in Galway. It's a very, very hard place. You know yourself, it's a very, very hard place to go. I do expect them to contest, obviously, but again, like, it really depends. Have Limerick targeted this game? Because I suppose, like, you take from the Clare Limerick game last week or 2 weeks ago, Clare obviously hadn't targeted that game, you know, because they basically rested a lot of their players. So I presume that they did a hard week that week. So if Galway kind of targeted the Limerick game, yeah, it should be a good game. Can they be? Are they as good as them? They are. They absolutely are on the day, you know. But it'll be interesting to see how Limerick line out and how Galway line out, and obviously with the weather conditions always play a part up in Pearse Stadium, to be honest. Which is
there's always the wind blowing in from the Atlantic. It's usually a game or two halves. Yeah. What have you made of some of the younger talent? You mentioned Adam English earlier. Shane O'Brien is a big man for his age, a big physical player. Colin Coughlin is bigger again. He's one of the biggest physical specimens you see for his age. And then you have the likes of Donegal O'Donnell as well. And there's a lot of new faces, and John hasn't been afraid to throw those new faces into the squad, even and letting go some of the maybe more experienced players that have been around for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I suppose like fresh blood is important, as I spoke about earlier on. Like, you know, and seeing these guys come in, it does kind of like Shane O'Brien is an excellent prospect as well. He'd be a nephew of Paudie's, who I played hurling with. again, big guy, has athleticism. Good to see these guys coming in, and the shape they're coming in is excellent. Like again, it's about fresh blood and keeping the guys who are there on their toes, and keeping the guys, giving the guys who are coming in, giving them an opportunity. Are they good enough? Can they express themselves on a given day? Because there's no point having these guys in the panel if you're not going to be played. Really and truly, because if you're in the midst of a battle in championship, you turn around and you look at a guy and you haven't played him, well then really you can't consider him and stuff So it has been good management by John. Like you always he tries to integrate one or two guys for every game and stuff, and give them game time and see how they get on. But in terms of like the quality coming in out of English is exceptional. Just again like the difference in conditioning that he's had in the last I'd say 9 months again is exceptional, and fair play to these guys because they have to put in the work as well. Yes, it's provided for them, but they have to do the work as well.
Other lads as well. Cottle O'Neill, who we haven't mentioned, hasn't featured yet. Fergal O'Connor, a good player as well, was full back with the 20s last year. It's a great position for John Kiley to be in the sense of being able to keep lads on their toes, because one of the hardest things I suppose is when you're succeeding is things maybe get a bit stale. It's the same lads been picked, and that's not to say it won't be the bulk of the same lads been picked. It probably will be, but there seems to be lads kind of nipping at their heels now, which is a good position to be in.
Yeah, correct, and like that's the kind of the culture John has created, I suppose, and the players as well. Let's be honest, like it's obviously they're a united front and stuff, and that's the culture that's there. That everyone has to work hard. But like you would see that, you definitely would have seen last year. Like if there was a softness in guys thinking, okay, my place is here, I don't have to work hard. Well, then they would have been beaten last year, or like the guys wouldn't have performed as well. They wouldn't have won those tight games. So John kind of has him in a great position. Loads of talent coming through, but like Fergal O'Connor is the prospect. No, Aaron Costa is probably older, but he's another fantastic option. Ronan Connolly, a clubmate of mine, is there as well. All these guys, fantastic, and they're excellent club hurlers. Ronan performs super well at the club. Same with Fergal and all these guys. But yeah, John has him where he wants him. I think the whole panel, and he has these guys kind of nipping at their heels, and like if there's any kind of complacency from the guys, well then in come the new guys. That is a good place to be. But again, it's 100% created from the outset by John and his management. Like it's that you have to work hard, or else you're someone else is behind you and they come in.
Just lastly, would you see Galway as one of the biggest threats, or would you see it as someone within Munster?
The biggest threat, to be honest, I think to be honest, like the chasing pack it's an equal group. Like I really and truly like you, Kilkenny, Galway, Clare, Tip seem to have kind of breathed new the guys again. Like, and it doesn't take their club hurling is so strong on Tip that it doesn't take for them too long to actually get back into the chasing pack, we'll call it. Probably Galway, because they're probably a bit further down the line than other counties, and their physicality is always unquestioned. So Galway probably will be Galway Kilkenny, I think, will be the two leading contenders.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what sort of a contest they throw up at the weekend. Again, we don't know. There might be a bit of shadow boxing, but ittle be an interesting game, no doubt. Yeah. Wayne, best of luck with your chairmanship over in the UAE. I hope there's lads ringing you every week, pestering you about X, Y, and Z. No doubt you were doing the same when you were a player.
Absolutely,
yeah. But thanks a million for joining us. Really appreciate it, and no doubt we'll talk again soon.
No hassle. Take care, Mike. Good to chat.
Cheers, Wayne. Good man.